In the vast, cold expanse of space, humanity's journey was just beginning. Earth had sent its first ships beyond the solar system, exploring new stars, new planets, and meeting new life forms. The people of Earth were filled with hope and excitement. For centuries, they had dreamed of joining the greater galactic community, to be a part of something much bigger than themselves. They believed their world, rich with culture, history, and unique ideas, would be welcomed with open arms by other civilizations. The first signals from Earth were simple: peaceful greetings, messages of cooperation, and a desire to learn from others. Humans had no reason to believe that their message would be anything but well received. They were not the most advanced civilization in the galaxy, but they had something that made them unique: their creativity, their resilience, and their ability to come together in the face of challenges. But when Earth's message reached the stars, it was not met with the warmth they had hoped for. The first response came from the Fendari, a peaceful species known for their kindness and harmony. Their reply was polite but firm. "We do not welcome your kind. You are still too dangerous. The past of your species speaks for itself." They explained that humanity's history, filled with wars, violence, and destruction, made them unfit to join the galactic family. They warned that until humanity overcame its violent nature, there could be no place for them among the stars. Next came the Shalora, a powerful race of technologically advanced beings. They were known for their intelligence and strength. Their response was harsher. "You are too unpredictable," they said. "Your species lacks the stability required for galactic unity. We have seen the way you treat each other on your own world. Such behavior cannot be tolerated in the greater universe." Humanity was stunned. The Shalora were one of the most respected races, and they had made it clear that humanity was not welcome. One by one, more responses came. The Oberians, a race of scholars, politely rejected Earth's overtures, stating that humanity's scientific knowledge was not advanced enough to be of interest. The Vlanths, a warrior species, simply ignored Earth's attempts, while the Dracari, a fierce and aggressive race, openly mocked the idea of humanity joining their ranks. Every time, the message was the same: "You are not ready." Earth's leaders were shocked. They had expected some challenges, but this level of rejection was beyond anything they could have imagined. Governments held meetings, and diplomats tried to reason with the galactic representatives. They tried to explain how humanity had changed, how they had worked hard to overcome their past and build a better future, but no one seemed to listen. The rejection was not just about humanity's past, it was about fear of what humanity could become. In the silence that followed, a sense of hopelessness began to spread across Earth. The people had dreamed of joining the stars, but now they realized that the universe might never accept them. Some even began to believe that perhaps they were destined to remain on their small planet forever, forgotten by the galaxy. But not everyone felt this way. Among the diplomats and leaders, a small group refused to give up. They were not ready to accept defeat. They believed that humanity's worth could not be judged by their past alone. There was more to them than the mistakes they had made. The spirit of humanity, their ability to overcome hardships, to create beauty, to come together as one, was something no other civilization could understand. These people were determined to show the galaxy that humanity had something valuable to offer. The group began to speak of a new mission, a mission not just to explore the stars, but to prove humanity's worth. They would not wait for the galaxy to accept them. Instead, they would find their own place in the universe, and they would protect those who needed help, no matter the cost. If the galaxy refused to accept them, then humanity would go on alone. They would create their own future, even if they had to fight for it. This decision, made by a few, would eventually change the course of history. While the rest of the galaxy turned its back on humanity, a small group of brave souls decided that they would not be defined by the mistakes of the past. Humanity's journey had only just begun, and they would find a way to prove their worth. While humanity struggled with rejection from the galaxy, A small group of scientists and explorers remained determined to continue their mission. They refused to be discouraged by the cold responses of the galactic powers. They believed that there was still hope, that perhaps somewhere out there in the vastness of space, they could find someone who needed their help. And so, they set out into the unknown. One such group, led by Captain Maria Soren, had been traveling deep into the uncharted regions of space. They were not looking for trouble. They were searching for new knowledge, new life, and new opportunities to make a difference. For months, they had scanned distant stars and planets, hoping to find something, anything, that might be a sign that they were not alone in this journey. But all they found was silence. That was until one fateful day when their ship, the Horizon, detected a faint signal coming from a remote planet on the edge of the galaxy. It was not like anything they had ever encountered before. The signal was weak but unmistakable. It was a sign of intelligent life. Someone was out there, and they were calling for help. Excitement filled the crew. After months of nothing, they had found something. Maria ordered the crew to change course, and soon they arrived at the planet. From space, the world looked beautiful yet tragic. The planet was covered in lush forests and oceans, but there was something off about it. It was clear that the planet had once been home to a thriving civilization, but now there were no cities, no signs of life. The surface was quiet, still, and abandoned. The crew landed in a large open valley, where they quickly discovered strange ruins. The architecture was unlike anything they had seen before, elegant, with intricate designs that seemed to tell a story of a great people. But the ruins were in disrepair, and the signs of life were nowhere to be found. It was as if the planet had been abandoned for centuries. As they explored, they stumbled upon an ancient underground facility. Inside, they found records of a once great civilization, the Draeni. The Draeni were an alien race that had lived in peace for thousands of years. Their records showed a species deeply connected to nature and the universe. They had built their society on the principles of harmony, wisdom, and mutual respect. They had mastered technology in ways humanity could only dream of, and they had a deep understanding of the stars. But as the crew continued to dig deeper into the records, they began to learn the sad truth. The Draeni were no longer a thriving civilization. They had been abandoned by the very galactic powers that humanity had tried to join. The Fendari, the Shalora, and other powerful races had turned their backs on the Draeni, leaving them to fend for themselves. No one had come to their aid when their world was ravaged by natural disasters, and no one had lifted a finger when their people began to disappear. The records showed that the Draeni had once been a peaceful race, living in harmony with the galaxy. They had never sought power or domination, but when disaster struck their planet, they had no allies to help them. The galactic civilizations had ignored their cries for help. The Draeni's peaceful nature made them vulnerable, and their inability to defend themselves had led to their downfall. As the crew learned more about the Draeni, they realized that they were not just dealing with an abandoned world. They were standing on the edge of a great tragedy. The Draeni were a species on the brink of extinction, with only a handful of survivors scattered across the planet. They were alone, forgotten, and unwanted by the rest of the galaxy. Maria and her team were struck by the injustice of it all. How could a race so peaceful, so kind, be left to die without anyone offering assistance? How could the galactic community, which had rejected humanity for its past, ignore the suffering of another race? It was a question that burned deep in Maria's heart. She knew that humanity had been rejected, but she also knew that they had something to offer the Draeni. Perhaps they were the ones who could change the fate of this forgotten race. They had faced their own struggles, their own failures, and now they had an opportunity to prove that they were not the same species that had once fought wars and destroyed cities. They had grown. They had learned. And they could show the Draeni that there was hope, even in the darkest of times. With a sense of determination, Maria called her crew together. "We didn't come this far to turn our backs," she said. "We've been rejected by the galaxy, but we don't have to reject others. We can help them. We will help them. This is our chance to show that humanity has more to offer than war and violence. We can protect them." The crew agreed. They would not leave the Draenei to suffer as the galaxy had done. They would help them rebuild, offer them protection, and bring hope to a race that had been forgotten. It was the first step on a journey that would change the course of humanity's future, and perhaps the future of the galaxy. Maria Soren and her crew stood in the ruins of the Draenei civilization, feeling a mix of awe and sorrow. The records they had found painted a clear picture. This was once a great and peaceful species, now abandoned by the very galactic powers that had rejected humanity. The thought burned inside her. The galaxy had claimed humanity was unworthy, too dangerous, too unpredictable. Yet those same civilizations had turned their backs on an innocent race, letting them fade into history without a second thought. The surviving Draenei were few, scattered across the ruined cities and deep forests of their homeworld. They were weak, afraid, and barely holding on. When Maria and her crew first approached, the Draenei survivors hid, watching from the shadows. They had seen strangers before, galactic explorers who came only to take what little resources were left. But Maria and her people were different. They didn't come to take. They came to help. Maria held up her hands in peace. "We are from Earth," she said. "We are not here to harm you. We only want to help." The Draenei were cautious. Their leader, an old and frail being named Valus, stepped forward. His deep blue eyes studied Maria for a long time. "Why?" he finally asked. "Why would you help us? No one else has." Maria had no easy answer. The galaxy had ignored the Draenei, just as it had rejected humanity. But to her, that was exactly the reason to help. "Because we know what it feels like to be rejected," Maria said. "The galaxy doesn't trust us either. But we believe actions speak louder than words. If they won't help you, we will." Valus and the other Draenei listened as Maria explained her plan. Humanity had ships, medicine, food, and technology. They could rebuild cities, heal the sick, and restore the planet's resources. Most importantly, they could protect the Draenei from any who tried to take advantage of them. For the first time in decades, the Draenei had hope. The debate on Earth. While Maria and her crew worked to earn the Draenei's trust, the message of their discovery reached Earth. The news spread quickly. Humanity had found a forgotten race, and they wanted to help. But the decision was not an easy one. Earth's leaders gathered in a great meeting, arguing over what should be done. Some were afraid. "If we help the Draenei, we will anger the galactic powers even more," one leader said. "They have already rejected us. If we interfere, they might see us as a threat." Others were unsure. "We barely have a place in the galaxy ourselves," another said. "How can we protect another race when we are struggling to prove our own worth?" But there were also those who saw this as a chance, a way to prove humanity's true nature. A scientist named Dr. Elias spoke passionately. "This is exactly why we must help," he said. "The galaxy sees us as dangerous, as unworthy. But what if we show them they are wrong? What if we stand up for those who have no one else? That is the true meaning of strength." The debate raged on, but in the end, the decision was made. Humanity would not turn its back on the Draenei. They would help, no matter the cost. The first steps toward a new future. Within days, Earth's first fleet of aid ships set course for the Draenei homeworld. Engineers, doctors, and diplomats arrived, ready to rebuild what had been lost. They'd brought medicine for the sick, food for the hungry, and technology to restore the cities. The Draenei, once abandoned and forgotten, now had allies. The work was not easy. Many of the Draenei were weak and had little trust in outsiders. But as they watched the humans labor beside them, fixing broken structures and healing their wounded, they began to believe. They saw something in humanity that the galaxy had ignored, a fierce determination to do what was right, no matter the risk. For the first time in history, humanity was not fighting for itself. It was fighting for something greater. and the galaxy was watching. Far beyond the Draenei homeworld, the powerful civilizations that had rejected humanity took notice. The Fendari, the Shalora, and the others had believed humanity would fade into obscurity after their rejection. But now, they saw something unexpected. Humanity was creating its own destiny. Some were confused. Others were suspicious. A few even saw it as a challenge. But one thing was certain. Humanity was no longer just an outcast species. It was becoming something more. And soon, the galaxy would have no choice but to recognize it. As the days passed on the Draenei homeworld, the humans and the Draenei grew closer. Maria Sorin and her crew worked tirelessly, helping the Draenei rebuild their cities, clean up the oceans, and restore the planet's environment. They shared knowledge, and soon, the Draenei were thriving again, planting new crops, building new homes, and even beginning to repair their broken technology. The once abandoned race was now a beacon of hope, thanks to the help of the humans who had refused to leave them behind. But as the Draenei began to flourish, the galaxy's most powerful civilizations began to take notice. News of humanity's efforts spread quickly, and it was not received well by those who had turned their backs on the Draenei. The Fendari, the Shalora, and others watched from afar, their discomfort growing with every passing day. It was one thing for humanity to be a small, insignificant race, but this was different. Humanity was showing the galaxy that it had the power to make a difference, to change the fate of a species that had been forgotten. This was something that couldn't be ignored. And so, the first signs of tension appeared. A few ships from the Shalora arrived at the edge of the Draenei system, scanning the area, watching humanity's progress. They said nothing at first, but their presence was a warning. The Fendari also sent their ships, sending their own scouts to monitor the situation. The galactic community had made it clear. Humanity's actions were being observed, and their decision to protect the Draenei was not going unnoticed. Maria knew that the situation was becoming dangerous. The peace she had fought so hard to create was fragile, and it wouldn't take much for things to fall apart. She gathered her team and spoke to the Draenei leaders. "We've done what we can for now, but we need to be ready. The galaxy isn't happy with what we're doing." Valus, the Draenei leader, nodded. He had seen the ships arriving, their watchful eyes fixed on his planet. "We've been abandoned by the galaxy before," he said softly. "And now we are being watched again. What will they do to us?" Maria's expression hardened. "They may not do anything yet, but if they decide to act, we will be ready. We can't let anyone take what we've built here." Though the Draenei had not asked for protection, they understood the risks now. The humans had given them a chance at life, a second chance, and they were not about to let that go to waste. The tension between humanity and the galactic powers only grew stronger. The Shalora, who were known for their superior technology, began to take a more active interest in the Draenei system. They sent envoys to the human fleet, demanding explanations. "Why have you interfered in the affairs of a species that is not your own?" they asked. "Your presence here is a violation of the galactic peace." Maria's response was calm but firm. "We're not here to cause trouble. We're here to help a race that has been left behind. We won't stand by while the galaxy ignores those in need." The Fendari, once known for their peaceful ways, sent their own emissaries to Earth, urging humanity to stop what they were doing. "You have no right to offer help to a species that is not your own," they warned. "The galaxy has its own rules, and you cannot change them." Humanity's leaders were under increasing pressure. They had acted out of compassion, yet now they were being told that their actions were a threat to galactic order. The idea of standing up to the galaxy's most powerful races was daunting. Many on Earth feared the consequences of their choices. Some even began to question whether they should abandon the Draenei, pull back their forces, and avoid further conflict. But Maria and her crew were not backing down. They had made a choice, and they would see it through. "We may not have the power of the galactic empires, but we have something they don't," Maria said in a meeting with Earth's leaders. "We have heart, And we have the will to do what's right. That's what makes us strong. The Draenei, now fully healed and beginning to flourish once again, stood by the humans. They had seen the kindness humanity had shown them, and knew that the humans' mission was just. Despite the growing threat from the galaxy's most powerful civilizations, the Draenei offered their full support. "You have given us hope," Valus said, "and we will stand with you. Together, we will protect this world, no matter what the galaxy decides." As the tension reached a boiling point, the fate of the Draenei and humanity hung in the balance. Would the galaxy's powers stand down, or would they try to crush humanity's mission? The galaxy had turned its back on both races, but now they were standing together. And the galaxy would have to decide whether they could continue to ignore the will of humanity, or if humanity's actions would force a change in the very fabric of the galaxy itself. The tension in the galaxy reached new heights. The Shalora had sent more ships to monitor the Draenei system, their advanced technology watching humanity's every move. The Fendari were equally wary, sending messages demanding that humanity cease its efforts to help the Draenei. Both races had made it clear that they believed humanity was crossing a line, interfering in the affairs of a race that wasn't their own, a race that they had abandoned long ago. The messages from the galaxy's most powerful civilizations were becoming more threatening. Yet humanity did not flinch. Maria Sorin and her crew knew they had made the right choice. They could not turn back now, no matter the cost. At the heart of the crisis was a simple truth. Humanity had done what the galaxy would not. They had protected the Draenei, restored their world, and offered them hope. For the first time in generations, the Draenei were thriving again. They were not the weak, abandoned species they had once been. They were standing tall, their people united and determined to rebuild their society. But the galaxy did not see it that way. The Shalora were the first to take action. A fleet of their ships arrived near the Draenei system, their sleek vessels cutting through space with frightening speed. The message was clear. Humanity had overstepped its boundaries, and the galaxy would not allow such interference to continue. Maria and her crew gathered in the command center of the horizon as the news came in. The faces on the screen were tense, their eyes filled with warning. The Shalora envoy spoke in calm, yet stern tones. "You are endangering the peace of the galaxy. The Draenei are no longer your concern. We will ensure that you cease your activities, one way or another." Maria's heart raced as she listened. The Shalora were known for their power, their ability to dominate with advanced technology. But she wasn't afraid. She had seen the strength of humanity's will. She had seen the courage of her crew and the bravery of the Draenei. "We will not stop," Maria said firmly, her voice clear. "We are here to help those in need, and we will protect them from anyone who tries to harm them. We will not turn away. Not now. Not ever." The Shalora envoy paused, a look of disbelief on their face. "You are making a grave mistake. Do you think you can stand against the might of the galaxy?" Maria didn't respond immediately. She turned to Valus, who stood beside her, watching the exchange. The Draenei leader had come to respect humanity's resolve. He had seen them work day and night to help his people, and now they were willing to face the galaxy's most powerful races to protect what they had built together. "We may not have your technology," Maria said, "but we have something just as powerful. We have each other. We have hope, and we will not let that be destroyed." The Draenei nodded, standing alongside the humans. "We stand with you, Maria," Valus said. "We have no place in this galaxy, but we have a place with you." The Shalora fleet remained silent for a long moment, their ships hovering ominously. Then, slowly, they withdrew. It was clear that they had not expected such a response from humanity. They had underestimated the power of unity and the determination of a species that refused to be cast aside. But the galaxy was not done yet. The Fendari quickly followed suit, sending their own fleet to the edge of the Draenei system. The message was the same. Humanity had to stop helping the Draenei. There could be no place for them in the galaxy unless they followed the rules of the powerful civilizations. This time, Earth's leaders were caught in a tough spot. They knew that the galaxy's civilizations were not to be taken lightly. The Shalora alone were capable of wiping out humanity's forces with a single strike. Some suggested that humanity should back down, that the risk was too great. But Maria, surrounded by her crew, stood firm. She knew the risks. She knew the consequences, but she also knew that sometimes the right thing to do was to stand against the odds, to fight for what was right, no matter the cost. "We will not abandon the Draenei," Maria said, her voice unwavering. "We will not be cowards. If we must face the galaxy, then we will face it, together." The crew nodded in agreement. They had come too far to turn back now. The Draenei, once a race on the brink of extinction, were now their family. Humanity had become something more than an outcast species. They had found their place in the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as protectors. As the Fendari and the Shalora prepared for their next move, Maria's heart was filled with a sense of clarity. Humanity had no choice but to fight for what they had built, for the future they had chosen. This was no longer just about saving the Draenei. It was about proving to the galaxy that humanity was ready to stand on its own, no matter the cost. The galaxy was on edge. Tensions between humanity and the powerful civilizations, the Shalora and the Fendari, had reached a boiling point. But Maria Sorin and her crew refused to back down. Despite the threats, despite the overwhelming power of the galactic empires, they had made their choice. They would protect the Draenei, no matter what. Humanity's decision had spread like wildfire through the galaxy. Some saw it as a symbol of hope, a new species willing to stand against the galaxy's powers, willing to fight for what was right. Others saw it as a dangerous rebellion, an act of defiance that could disrupt the carefully crafted balance of power. But one thing was certain: humanity was no longer an outcast species. They had found their place, and they were ready to defend it. The Fendari had sent their fleet into the Draenei system, their sleek ships surrounding the planet like a dark cloud. The Shalora remained on the fringes, watching with their advanced technology, waiting for humanity's next move. The message was clear: if humanity did not back down, there would be consequences. Maria stood on the bridge of the horizon, her eyes fixed on the star-streaked expanse before her. She could feel the weight of the situation, the weight of the choice they had made. The crew was ready, but the fear was palpable. The stakes had never been higher. "We've come this far," Maria said, turning to face her crew. "We're not going to let anyone take away what we've built here. We fought for the Draenei, and we will continue to fight for them, no matter the cost. We stand united, and that's what makes us stronger than anything the galaxy can throw at us." The crew nodded, their faces determined. They were no longer just humans. They were part of something bigger, something greater than themselves. As the first wave of the Fendari fleet moved closer, Maria received a message. It was from Valus, the leader of the Draenei. "We are ready," Valus said. "We will not let you face this alone." Maria's heart swelled with pride. The Draenei had once been a dying race, abandoned by the galaxy and left to fade into obscurity. Now, they were ready to stand with humanity, to fight for their right to exist, to defend their new home. As the fleets drew nearer, the tension in the air was almost unbearable. Maria could feel the weight of the decision on her shoulders. The galaxy's greatest powers were about to clash with a species they had dismissed for so long. But she knew, deep down, that they were not alone. The Draenei were with them. The crew of the Horizon was with them. And humanity, for the first time in centuries, was united in a cause greater than any one of them. The Fendari were the first to act. Their ships fired a warning shot, a brilliant beam of energy that sliced through the vacuum of space. It was a show of power, a message that they would not tolerate humanity's interference. But Maria didn't flinch. She gave the order, and the human fleet moved into position. "We're not backing down," Maria said firmly. "Prepare for defense." The humans and Draenei stood side by side, their ships forming a defensive line around the planet. The Shalora watched from the sidelines, their ships looming in the distance, waiting to see how the humans would respond. The Fendari fired again, this time aiming directly at the horizon. But humanity was ready. The shields of the human ships flared to life, absorbing the energy of the attack. The Fendari had underestimated the strength of the humans' technology. The human fleet returned fire, a barrage of lasers and plasma weapons that lit up the dark void of space. For a moment, there was silence. The universe held its breath. Then, something incredible happened. The Shalora, who had been observing from the outskirts, made a surprising move. They sent a message to humanity, a message that echoed across the galaxy. "We have been watching," the message began, "and we have learned." The message continued, explaining that the Shalora had recognized humanity's strength, their determination to fight for what was right. They had seen that humanity's actions were not born from arrogance, but from a deep sense of justice. The Shalora would no longer oppose them. They would stand down. The Fendari followed suit, their fleet retreating from the Draenei system. The galaxy's powers had backed down. Humanity had won. Maria stood at the command center, watching as the fleets withdrew. Her heart was racing, her breath short. It was over. The Draenei were safe. The galaxy had learned what humanity was capable of. And for the first time in history, humanity had earned its place among the stars. As the human and Draenei fleets celebrated, Maria looked out at the stars. The galaxy was no longer a place where humanity was dismissed, a place where they were forgotten. Humanity had found its place, not as conquerors, but as protectors. And this was just the beginning.